In this video, I'd like to look at jealousy and particularly differentiate the healthy direction of jealousy and the unhealthy direction of jealousy. And the gist of it is, like any feeling, it has a positive and negative potential. And in the negative potential, jealousy destroys relationship and destroys the probability of creating what is desired. And in the healthy expression of jealousy, jealousy builds relationship intimacy and facilitates the realization of suppressed or unconscious desires. And it can be valuable to know one of the core seeds of jealousy. And the core seed of jealousy is a belief based on experience or based on other beliefs, watching other people or personal life experience, the belief that you will not get what you want. If I'm jealous of someone who's got a new toy, it may be that I feel I will never be the cool person. I'll never have the best toys. I'll never have that toy. If I believe and experience and create having as much of that toy, as much of that popularity, as much of that whatever it is that I want, I'm not jealous. When we let in and experience and have certainty that we can create what we want, we enjoy sharing that with other people. When there's a scarcity, when there is a belief in scarcity, when there's a lack of certainty and a sense that some people will have and I won't be one of them, then we are jealous. So that's a psychological context for jealousy. So there's some part that feels that we will not get what we want. And so let's look first at the unhealthy expression of jealousy. So one part of the unhealthy aspect of jealousy is focusing on blocking. Since I'm not going to get what I want, I don't want you to get what you want either. So blocking our partner from getting what they want is one aspect of jealousy. Lies is another aspect of jealousy. And this is where we take a fear, a belief, let's say a belief that I'm unattractive. So it's a belief, and then turn that into lies, as in my partner thinks I'm unattractive, or nobody's ever going to love me. And so we're turning a belief, exaggerating it, and overlaying it inaccurately on reality. That's a lie. Another part of the unhealthy aspect of jealousy is projection. I'm projecting my unlovability, my undesirability onto you. And the difference between a projection and reality, as I'm kind of defining it, is if you ask your partner, do you believe that I'm a horrible person, that I'll never be loved, that da-da-da-da-da, and they say, yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly what I see, and that's what I believe. Well, then that's not a projection. That's an impression that's accurate. And so, okay, great. But in the unhealthy expression of jealousy, we're believing, they looked at that person over there, I saw them smile, and we turn that into a projection that has nothing to do with our partner's reality, or may not have all. It may be an exaggeration, which is a partial lie, or it may be a misunderstanding, like, yes, I am attracted to that person, but no, I wasn't actually noticing their skin complexion. What I'm attracted to is the way they smile. Or I wasn't noticing skin. What I'm attracted to is they share an interest in biology. And so there is an attraction, but it's a false, there's a false story, and particularly with self-negating lies and projections. Let's say you're a woman who has smaller breasts and your partner smiles at a woman who happens to have larger breasts. There may be, particularly if there's shame around that, an instant knowingness that, I'm a terrible partner because I have small breasts. And, and the projection is that that's what the other person is focusing on. Now, it could be or not. The key is, to have a meaningful relationship, you want to have a trustworthy enough relationship that your partner will tell you. And then you can break that out. But the lies are unhealthy. The shame, first you lie and then you shame yourself based on the lie, is an unhealthy direction. I'm unworthy of love. I'm not good enough. I'm inadequate as a partner because of X and X and X. Suppression. My jealousy shouldn't exist. I should be more positive. I shouldn't feel jealous. So suppressing and hiding. This is a problem because now you're creating a veil. The lies, the suppression, the silence, the blocking are all adding up to more and more distance between you and your partner. And it's that distance that is the danger. It's the unhealthy aspect of jealousy. So silence is, of course, a part of that. Because I feel this, I know, so first there's the blocking. Then there can be a denial of blocking. No. I'm not, and there can be all kinds of absurd maneuvering to go on while denying that anything's going on. Then there's lying and self-shaming, suppression of that, and then silence. No, everything's fine. So now your partner can usually feel some weird stuff is going on, so they may say, what's going on? You say nothing, because the spiritual critic is saying that this is an unspiritual thing, I should let go, and in that suppression it just builds up, and then you feel even worse. Now you've got even further from your partner. You're creating this barrier. Now, if after several weeks, several months of this and self-reinforcing, self-referential thinking, you're now clear that not only is your partner more interested in other people, they don't care about your feelings, they're just interested in breast sizes, all of this thing built up. Now comes, weeks of suffering and silence and isolation. Then may come revenge. Oh, I know you don't care about me. I'm not interested. Or some partner gives you a gift, and I'm not going to enjoy the gift because I know it's a lie. I know you'd rather be with this other person, etc., etc. And shortly after the revenge maybe comes withdrawal. I know you'd be happier with this other person, so I'm going to withdraw. Or I'm not happy that you fill in the blank, all the different lies and projection, so I'm going to withdraw. You don't really love me, so out of self-respect, I'm going to withdraw from a perfectly good relationship because I know, because I thought, because I believe, and because I project, I know this, this, and this, even without checking with you. So this is a pattern of withdrawal, pain, projection, distance, and isolation. Now, the healthy direction is the exact opposite. Now, if you notice that you're jealous, it's a good clue that you want something, number one. Second, it's a clue that you don't believe you can get an endless supply of what you want. Now, this is a great clue, because if you want something and you don't believe you can get what you want, you can then do an analysis. Is it really that it's unavailable to you? Because you can have married couples that both have an abundance of what the other person wants, and obviously they've chosen each other out of billions of people, feel like they're not going to get what they want if there's an internal block. So if you're surrounded, like you're in one of the wealthiest countries in the world, you've got a full body, you can go out and make money, but you're sure you're never going to have money. Well, then this is an internal block. It's a belief that's blocking your outer reality. If, on the other hand, you're in Afghanistan and you're, a woman, and you believe you'll never be safe to freely be in your own country without a headdress and without being a Muslim, and you really want that, well, and you're jealous that someone else has that, well, that's probably true. So you can look at the statistical probability. If the vast majority of people around you are in harm's way for having what you want, and you want it in that time and in that place, then the belief that you may not be able to have that is more rational than if you're surrounded by people who have what you want, but somehow you don't believe you can have it. And there's not really a whole lot of logical basis for that, thing. If you're a woman, and, our culture focuses a lot on appearance, and if you can, take a couple hundred people and find, and then you have to figure out, well, what is this clear, objective sense of beauty? Is it breast size? Is it age? Is it skin color? What is this mysterious thing that is always changing over time and in different cultures? We'll break it down, but, be honest about it, okay? And then, first of all, figure out if you're right. Ask 10, 20 guys or girls whether they agree with your metrics, one. And then two, once you've got an agreed upon metrics, then look at a 200-person sampling and see, is there any deviations? Like if the idea is, I want to be secure, and no well-to-do person is going to, be with someone who has a pimple or whatever the dumb thing is. Well, look at it and see, okay, 200 people, do anyone have that pimple? 200 people, does anyone have that skin color? 200 people, are any of those partners, over the age that you're sure is undateable or whatever it is? And just gather the data and see what the sampling is. Now, if the sampling suggests that, it's not terribly hard to be part of a 1 in 10 group or a 1 in 20 group, particularly if you want to, because most of these people don't set out to do that. Why not? Why not you? Are you willing to do the work? Are you willing to, if 1 in 10 people has that situation, meaning it's a minority of people who have this particular thing that I want, but 1 in 10, well, that just means you're going to have to try 10 times before you're likely in that probability field. Are you willing to try 10 times? And this is it's a healthy noticing that you desire something and you don't think you'll get it. Then you externalize that to gather data to see how likely it actually is in the general probability. Just randomly, you're in this environment, 50% of these people have what you want. So how likely is it that you will? You do the statistics. You get a sense of the probability field. You ask yourself if you're willing to work. Now, the thing that I particularly want to focus, and this is kind of what prompted the video, is I noticed that my wife ignores me in a number of different situations. But if I start talking with an attractive woman, she immediately feels jealous and comes toward me. And it's a blocking move. But my challenge and question to her, and it's actually one of the things that pivots unhealthy jealousy towards healthy jealousy, is to turn that into the positive. To say, look, you've got me 24 hours a day. What do you want to be doing and experiencing with me that you're not experiencing and doing with me? 1. And 2, do it. Because if you do more of those things, we'll be closer together. And if I'm busy doing those things with you, then there's no time to, be enjoying that conversation with an attractive woman. So, in other words, don't block what you're wasting. In other words, and I see this as a really key pivot. If you're going to block something with someone else, do it on the basis that it interferes with something good that you want with that person. If, I don't really want to talk to them, I'd rather play video games. Well, then don't block them talking with someone else who actually wants to talk with them. I don't really feel like having sex right now. I just don't want them to have sex right now. Well, if they want to have sex right now and you don't, and that's a chronic situation, well, one of those two things, why should you block someone on a chronic level and say this is love when you don't want to occupy the space? And that leads into a question, well, why don't I want to occupy the space? And so, that's a really important distinction. Occupy the space and you won't need to block someone. If they're interested in someone because they have more adrenaline rush, because it's new, then create more newness in the relationship. And so this because it's one thing, and I think it's an important thing to be angry. It's, if you want to be making beautiful love with your partner and they're blocking that, you should be angry whether or not there's another person involved. Why are they blocking that? How can we release that energy so that energy flows in the relationship? And that's an important conversation to have. Why are you more interested in doing that with this other person than with me? Is this, and looking at what's beneath that is a really intimate and enriching and enlivening and growing conversation. So it'll bring you closer. Yeah, I feel like I have to nag you to have sex. But this person shows interest in me, and I feel more important. So I am much more interested when they're seducing me and you're just ignoring me and needing to be nagged. Okay, that's the issue. You're not feeling important. I'm not making you feel important. How would be 5 ways I could make you feel important? Okay, here they are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, I don't want to do it. Okay, well then release the partner that you're not occupying to create with somebody else. No, I don't want that either. I don't want to do it, and I don't want them to have access either. I just want to be lazy and let the relationship be as it is. And so this is actually one of the more healthy challenge aspects of jealousy. And I'm a big believer in dynamic, ongoing win-win agreements. What I mean by that is I don't think it's intelligent, loving, healthy, growthful to tell someone, I am never going to do this for the whole rest of my life, or I'm always going to feel loving towards you, or this relationship will last till the day I die. No, I don't think that's dynamic. I think that what's honest and healthy is to say, there is no one that I'd rather spend time with than you. And that's for this reason, and this reason, and this reason, and this reason. And because this relationship is the most important one for me, I'm going to do this, I'm going to invest in this, I'm going to do this and this and this. And I'm looking for an equal partner, and I'd like to be with someone who'd rather be with me than anyone else. And this gets to the underlying, potential healthy resolution of jealousy. Meaning, if you don't want to occupy the space to talk, to make love, to engage, to appreciate, to enjoy time together, but you want to stop them from doing that, why not let it go? Similarly, if someone else is more interested, and I'm very clear about this, that, if there ever is a time when my partner is more interested overall in exploring a relationship with someone else, I want them to go. Why? Because, one, if I really care about them and they believe that their well-being will go up by spending time with this other person, then sure, it may hurt my feelings. Sure, I may feel abandoned. But on an intellectual level, I can't call it love to hold someone in a more miserable position just because it doesn't suit me. I can call it self-centeredness. I can call it manipulation. But I can't call it love. And I'm not really into trying to create long-term manipulative, self-centered, narcissistic relationships. I'm interested in having a loving relationship. And a loving relationship holds the possibility that someone may grow or need to grow in a certain way outside of the relationship. Now, that does not mean that I need to accept, my partner having another lover and me waiting around, or accept myself being in jealousy and misery around that and pretending that that's fine. No, if I feel terrible, watching my partner enjoy another man more than me, then I have every right to say, look, are you enjoying that man more than me? Yes. Okay. Does this seem like this is something that you'd like to build on? Yes. Well, is he interested? Well, ask him, okay. So he's interested, okay. This feels terrible to me. I was hoping we'd grow a lot more. You're still the most important to me, and it's going to feel terrible knowing that I'm second to you. But it feels just as terrible to hold you back from something you want. So let's have an honoring closing. And, don't lie and have an affair and cheat and all. Forget that. Let's honor what we've had. And create space. Let's have at least 30 days of no contact and some guidelines of under what situations we might connect again. If you find that I am your number one person again, after 30 days and, this, that, the other, and I'm available, you can reach out again. Or maybe after 3 or 4 months of cooling down, we could explore a friendship. But, or maybe I never want to see you again because this hurts. And I don't want to stand in your way, but I don't want to be reminded constantly of the pain of my disappointment and blah, blah, blah. Or maybe I'll wait until I find a new soulmate And then if you're still happy with this person, we can be friends, but I'm not feeling empty and alone and jealous because I don't have someone. So maybe that's what we'll do. We'll separate until I have a partner. And so you can separate. And so that works very well, but it doesn't block. And it's loving to wish someone the most valuable experience and nourishing experience that they can have. And I also like it personally because I can feel when someone's not fully into me. And I don't want that experience. I like being in the role with a partner where I can feel that I'm the most important person in their life. I don't like being in the role where I can feel that they'd rather be somewhere else. So it's selfish in that sense. It's selfless and selfish. It's truly loving to them, but it's also loving to myself because I can find somebody else who, for whatever period the relationship lasts, really feels that way about me. And that's what I want. And this also ties in with jealousy, meaning I don't feel jealous of that situation because I don't believe I will not be able to find a woman who doesn't see me as the highest priority. And so I don't feel like I'm losing that whole reality just to support my partner in finding a better match. I feel I'm losing that reality right now with her, but I'm not losing it in my future. I'm still committed and confident in my ability to create that with someone else. So so there's no jealousy. If I felt clear that I'd never be able to do that with someone else, I would feel much more insecure, much more needy, possibly more jealous, and much less happy enjoying a partner going to someone else. So that's, the part of the belief structure. And this doesn't just tie in randomly, meaning it's not just a vanity or a projection, meaning I've spent time with women who have said that they'd love to get married, or that there's no one as interesting or as committed or who helps them feel loved as deeply and fully as I do. And I know that's not random. I've studied that. I care about that. I prioritize that. I've structured my life around that. So I know that I can create an extraordinary relationship. And I know there's a certain number of women that want an extraordinary relationship and are willing to do the work and can notice when someone else is capable of that. I might have to talk with 100. I might have to talk with 20. Somewhere in that range, I can create that. And I know I'm willing to do it. And so it's not a source of, it's tiring sometimes to go through 100 women to find one. It's tiring. But I know I can do it, so I don't feel, the scarcity. Now, communicating desires is another healthy expression. So if someone's feeling a lot of jealousy, but they're not acting on it, it can be a symptom of a veil. Meaning, perhaps, the person is saying, no, I don't want to disturb you. I thought you needed your space. But then someone else doesn't think that and says, hey, you want to talk? And the other person says, yes. And so there can be a creation of a void where you're telling a lie that I'm not good enough. You're telling a lie that I know you need your space when you're not asking. So someone else enters the space, and then there's like, well, why did you pick them over me? Well, you didn't enter the space. You didn't ask. And so I thought you didn't want, but you didn't ask. So how did you know? Well, I had my self-image and I had my idea and I didn't want to trespass against that. So this is a real, communicating desires. I'm jealous of this because I desire this, and I was silent because of a lie. And now I'm speaking up. That's a good movement in jealousy. Releasing is also a good movement in jealousy. Releasing the desires, releasing feelings. Also, releasing the partner to really have a boundary to say, look, let's have a deal here. If you don't want to be sexual partners, or your idea of sex is once a month, and I want to be a sexual partner, and my idea of sex is 3 or 4 times a week, well, okay, we will not be sexual partners. We're not compatible. We can be friends. And release me to be in a healthy sexual relationship with someone that actually wants that. Own it or release it. Communicating and checking out is a really important area to break the projection, to say, I have this paranoia that my breast size is always going to be a huge liability. I have a paranoia that when you looked at me with irritation, then that what you were thinking is, that I wish I had someone with bigger breasts. I have this paranoia about this. 1 to 10, how true is that? Well, yeah, it does cross my mind. It's not an issue. What I'm irritated about is the fact that you don't include me in the communication. That's a 10 issue. Breast size, sure, if I'm looking visually and picking purely based on image, this would be my perfect pick, visually. But relationships are not about visual, non-static images. Relationships are about real human beings, mentally, emotionally, and physically. And emotionally is, the way I feel is the most important thing. And you really help me feel this way and this way and this way. And that's really what I'm focused on. And so so there's a deepening of intimacy that was masked by silence and projection on both sides. And then finally, checking out beliefs and including the other in the beliefs, and then telling the story of the beliefs is a way of deepening. It's like I was in high school, I was humiliated by this, I was lied to about this, then everyone humiliated me in this way, and I've always had a real sensitivity around this. I had no idea. That makes sense. I understand. And that's not me at all. Or, yep, I relate to that 20%. So that's true, 20%. And it's not that I want it to be true. That's just, how I'm built. And the reason I was built that way is because of this and this and this and this and this and this and this. So that's part of my identity. It's not something I believe in or aspire to. It's just, this is how I got built this way. Well, I didn't know that either. And so you can have a deepening intimacy. So in summary, jealousy can be profoundly healthy or profoundly unhealthy, depending on what we do about it. Jealousy can be a doorway into learning about our deepest beliefs, our deepest desires, can be a doorway into communicating and vulnerability, can be a doorway into transformation and growth, to releasing assets that are not being used. It's kind of like a car. I have this general attitude in life. If you've got, a Porsche and your great dream is to keep it locked up in the garage, it's kind of a waste. I know there are collectors out there that get off on that, but it takes something beautiful out of circulation. And so, one of the responses that I have is, you lay out all that you want from me, all that you can absorb, everything that you enjoy. 1, you ask for that when you want it. 2, I will give you all of that and more. But if you don't want that, and somebody else does, and it's not hurting our relationship, and the priority and prioritization is this relationship, then unless there's a very good reason, don't take that out of circulation. Open up and allow for a world of abundance in which you can have everything that you want, as much as you want, and there's still more. And if that's the reality, it's time to challenge and upgrade the beliefs as opposed to, stifling the relationship out of a fear based on a belief that isn't real because circumstances have changed. Every little bit of food is tremendously scarce and precious when there's only one loaf of bread a month. But when you've got hundreds of loaves of bread a day, when you've got the opportunity to eat as much as you want, why would you stop someone else from having a bite of bread before the bread goes moldy? There's enough to share.